Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Marissa, and you are watching Daughters of Single Mothers. Today's video, we are talking about the Cinderella effect. And yeah, before we jump into the video, I do want to give glory and honor to God for restoring my voice in more ways than one. And then I'd also like to preface this video with a few things. I just kind of want to get this out that this is not an anti-single mother video. Okay, I repeat, it's not an anti-single mother video. This video is really just to build awareness, and it may be a trigger for you daughters, for you mothers, for even for some of you grandmothers, right? If, you know, I pray that it's not a trigger. I pray that we grow from this and that we learn from this. Um, and as always, so that I stay on target, I do have my notes that I will be looking down at from time to time. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So if you saw my last video, I did mention that we would be talking about the Cinderella effect. I hope that you've had a chance to kind of research the Cinderella effect. First, let me just say this also. I'm actually really thrilled for this video because I feel like it's going to resonate with someone, and I hope that it does, and I hope that you actually find healing. At the end of the video, I will be putting, and actually, yeah, I'll mention a low cost therapy website that you can seek help if this is the case for you. And I'll also put the website in my description in the video. So, okay, without further ado, let's get going. So, the Cinderella effect is a psychology theory studied by Martin Daly and Margot Wilson. And in this study, it shows that children in households with their non biological parents, so either a biological parent that is separated from the other biological parent, right, in a single family household, or a biological parent that is introduced as step parent to the child, right? They have a higher risk for abuse, a much higher risk for abuse. And this pattern, according to the statistics, Martin Daly, Margot Wilson, and they did this study back in the 80s, right? So they've had, this is a long period of time to study this, but this pattern has been observed across many cultures. And I also do want to point out this does not mean that every step parent is abusive. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when you are a single mother, single parent, and you introduce someone into your family dynamic that is not the biological parent, the likelihood of child abuse does increase. So that I'm stating facts from some of the studies that have been done. I'm just going to read what I've got here. So we'll start with the experience elevated risks. Okay, so stepchildren experience elevated risks of abuse and mortality compared with children with intact biological families, which means the intact, both biological father, biological mother, intact, right? Children in step families are more likely to be abused than those living with both biological. So, yeah, these are just the stats. So, here we go. Some analysis reports up to five-fold, so 5 times increase in risk of child abuse for stepchildren versus biological children. Yeah, I'm not going to get into like the homicidal. I want to keep this, semi PG and not morbid. But I will mention that in families with biological children and stepchildren, some studies find stepchildren are targeted far more often than biological children. So yeah, we're looking at, you know, these are the numbers: 3 to 5 times more child abuse with step family versus biological. Um, so why do I say all this, and why am I showing you the reports, right? Or not showing you the reports, but speaking the reports to you? Um, it's this is not meant to say that all step parents are bad. It just means that statistically, children are far more vulnerable in situations like this. So, why does this matter to single mothers? Right, as I mentioned in my previous video, my mom had virtues that I thank her for. I really do. I thank her for keeping my sister and I from situations like this. And it meant that she had to sacrifice her desire, her want for a relationship. Like I said, we never knew that she dated. And and if she did date, right? I think it wasn't until, let me take that. It wasn't until high school that we knew she had a boyfriend, right? But did we meet him? Not until like a year later. Never even knew of him. So that's to say that she kept us from a lot. And in that situation, you know, it was important, especially in our formative years. In high school, you're able to voice your frustrations easier than a child would. In high school, you're able to talk and communicate with what's going on, most cases. Yeah, why is this important for single mothers? I just went off on a tangent on them. So I'm gonna just read my notes, right? So um, yeah, being really, love does not rush. Like, love does not rush access to your children. I think that is the main thing, the main objective here. My input to single mothers: love does not rush access to your children. So ask yourself, I mean, are you exhibiting some of these virtues? Are you allowing yourself to be in a space of loneliness or sacrifice to raise your children in a safe environment? And again, that doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean that your children are going to be perfect. No one's perfect, right? Parenting, I know, I understand. I don't have any children, but parenting is definitely challenging. It can be challenging, um, especially if you are a single parent. Makes things easier when you have two, but when you're a single parent, a single mother, and you are raising daughters and sons for that matter, it's just important, in my opinion, to keep your eye on the prize. Know that restraint is love. Your privacy is protection. And yeah, timing, right? And discernment matter. So, timing for my sister and I, we didn't know that my mom had a boyfriend until we got to high school. And by that time, we were almost 18. So, yeah, timing and your discernment matter. So, her discernment, this was not a man that she would just randomly, you know, you know, put in and allow us to meet. So keep all of that in mind. And for the daughters of single mothers, and actually for the sons too. My channel just happens to be called Daughters of Single Mothers because that's what I know. I'm a daughter, so I'm here discussing and talking what I know. Um, but sons too. You know, trauma can show up later in life. It can show up as trust issues. It can show up as hyper independence. It can show up in bitterness. Um, and I, I think the most important part is really just acknowledging that if this is the case for you, really acknowledging how healing does require you letting go of the bitterness so that you can move forward in the way that God wants you to fully live, right? Like, I am fortunate that I didn't have the Cinderella effect, right? I've had other things, but a lot of things, and when I say other, I mean, father issues, which we'll talk about in another video. But trust me when I say, when your heart is hardened, that blocks you from so much. There is a weight that you carry around for so long, and that can show up in addiction. I talked about that in a previous video. It can show up, trust issues, hyper independence. There's so many ways that it can show up. So having a hardened heart, holding on to bitterness, these are things that you must, I would encourage you to let go of. Which brings me to this point. Open Path Psychotherapy Collective, they are a low-cost counseling service. You can find them online. I will put the website in the description. So for you single mothers, this is a phenomenal resource. If funds are limited, this is healing doesn't have to be expensive. And yeah, I will put that in the description box below. But yeah, this conversation was not meant to bring fear or to bring resentment. It's really this conversation, and me speaking of my personal experience in growing up and seeing things, right? It's meant to heal, in short. So this conversation isn't meant to create fear. It's really just meant to bring awareness, in hopes that you find healing. So if this video resonated with you, stick with me on this channel and stick with me on this journey, where we talk about faith, truth, healing, and walking forward. I hope you find this helpful. And again, this is meant to really start your process in healing, because through this YouTube channel, I've actually started my own process in healing. So this has been therapeutic for me. And thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to me. Yeah. Until next time. Bye.